Welcome back. In this video, we'll see some other text functions inside Alteryx. In the previous example, we have started with the basic functions upper, lower, proper, ends with and contains. Now in this video, we'll see about the functions related to trim, finding out the length and padding the characters on the left or right. So let's begin, everyone. I have an example for you. Carefully observe, we have two columns named as category and subcategory. And if you see, there is a flag given everywhere. Okay, a small flag kind of option everywhere. So what this flag says, it says that this cell has some leading spaces. Okay, everywhere if you see, there's a leading spaces. So it's giving an indicator informing that there's some problem which you need to fix. So first thing, how do I fix this category column? How do I trim this data? Okay, so there are three functions which I have, which is trim, trim left and trim right. So what we can do is, I will just pick up here formula and I can drag and drop it here. By the way, I can also continue writing here by just adding a plus button. That is also one option. So I think let's begin here. If I click on this plus sign, if I say as add column, trim data, and here I can write as, let's say, trim left. Okay, trim left is a function which will trim the data from the left hand side. So here I can tell them that trim left a column named as category, and I can close the bracket. So you see the data would be trimmed from the left hand side. When I click on run button and if I click on the output anchor, and you can see what has happened, it has got the output in the new column. So trim data is a name of the new column. I have to see on the extreme right hand side. So that's a trim data. So it is trimming the data from the left hand side. Now you might have a question again, why do we need to create a new column? Why not get the answers in the same column? So no problem, we can just click on cross button and I can select the same column named as category. So output will be getting the same column named as category, and if I just select category, click on run button, number of columns will reduce. Now it is 22 and the same column is been polished and I'm getting the answers here. So that is one example. Same way, I can also write here a function which is for trimming right. Okay, left is from the left hand side, right would be from the right hand side. So if you observe here, still in the cell number 2, it is having some data. Okay, this has a trailing space. So what I can do is, I can again click on this plus sign. In the category column, I can tell them as trim right. And here the column would be category. Right. So when I click on run button, now I will not be getting that flag icon because I have trimmed the data from right hand side as well. Same way, now there's a column named as subcategory. So if I only use the trim function, let's see what happens. Clicked on this option, select a column as subcategory, and here I can write as trim. Okay, the column name would be subcategory. And now when I click on run button, you can see the output. Okay, so when I click on this output button, it says still there's a data which has to be trimmed. So what I can do is I can use trim right option again for the same column. Okay, click on this column, again select subcategory, trim right, subcategory, right, and I can click on run button. So this column also will be trimmed properly. So these are some basic functions which will be required. Now remember, in the company, usually you will get unclean data. You'll never get a clean data in the company. So people will definitely make mistakes. You cannot go and correct everyone to feed the data. You cannot give a template because they have their own writing style. So these are the functions which will help you to clean data in any format if you get it. Now the next example, we have length. If I want to find out the length of some data, okay, so let's say length of this category column, click on the sign and I can write as add column, length of category. Here I can write in the function as length and the column name is given as category. So when I click on run button and if I click on the output, so you see 23 columns are there. If I scroll on the extreme right hand side, length of the category column will be given here. If it comes as 15 in row number 3, if it is 15, let me go and check. In row number 15, why it is giving us row number 3, 15. So office supplies, if you count, the number of characters will come down to 15. Okay, so it is finding out the length here. Now the next example, pad left and pad right. Pad left and pad right is used to add some text either on the left or on the right hand side. Okay, now let's see an example. So but before we do this example, why not pick up here a select tool. Okay, I'll just pick up here a select tool, and instead of selecting all the columns, because I have to scroll left and right always, what I'll do is I'll just keep only one column and based on that column I will show you the output. Now select is a column where you can filter and get only specific columns. Now on this one column I can show you the example of pad left and pad right. Now suppose if I add a formula, I'll drag a formula and drop it here, and I'll tell them add a column as pad left. So when I type here as pad left, okay, the column name is given as subcategory. Okay, the length, let's say I'll put as 15 characters. Okay, and what should be the character here? I'll write as X. So what will happen is it will add X value, okay, to this column. See here in example, it will add, let me zoom the screen, it will add X value on the left hand side to this column. Okay, how many characters total will be there? 15 characters. So if you see in the data preview, X has been added and the total count of the number of characters would be 15. Okay, so let's see an output when I click on run button. So now when I click on the output anchor, if you count the number of characters everywhere would be 15 characters. 15 characters, you see, anything if you count. This is 15 characters, that's 15 characters. You don't have to compare. By the way, this one, somewhere spacing is less, somewhere spacing is more. So don't compare that way. But if you count number of characters, everywhere it would be 15. Same way, if you want, you can add one more and tell them I can write as pad right. And here I can write as this option as pad right. Okay, the column name would be as subcategory. Okay, subcategory. And I want the length, let's say 20 characters. And on the right hand side, I want the, let's say as A. Okay, so when I click on run button, I'll be getting on the right hand side all the A characters. Total width would be 20. You see the size would be 20. Now why it is used? You know, sometimes you want equal, characters in the column, equal characters. For example, if you travel by flight, okay, you might know in India, I'm talking about India, every city has got 3 characters. For example, if you travel to Delhi in India, so it will be DEL. If you travel to Mumbai, okay, so it will be, let's say MUM, or Bangalore, BLR. So these are the 3 characters everywhere it is added. So you can add a prefix or a suffix, okay, to make it equivalent, length of the data. Same way you can use the pad left and the pad right examples to make it a fixed characters. Okay, that's it. I hope you're able to understand some other functions inside Alteryx. These are again some text functions, and that's all for this video.